Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of KFFB's Open Mic program. And we do have with us right now Congressman French Hill. And Congressman, thanks so much for taking time and talking with us.
Bob, it's great to be with you. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, one thing we got to talk about is the 4th of July. There is not a better time, I believe, of a holiday for us to show our gratitude for those that followed us to get us here, but also the military that kept our freedoms. I mean, it's awesome. Whether they're protests or not protests, that's all freedoms when we talk about it.
Well, the 4th of July recognizes the greatest experiment in global history, and that's to build the American Republic, which was always an effort from day one back in July 1776 to build a more perfect union. And that's what's happened over the years. America's gotten better over the last 244 years, more inclusive and more successful, and we're the leader of the free world because of that.
That's what's so exciting, because you see growth and you see people stepping up and moving with their business and saying, okay, we're going to have to move. And it's very fluid right now. I'm just so excited about the business people that have took this as a challenge and we're going to move forward, just like the groundbreaking ceremony. I mean, is this amazing? During an epidemic, you were part of a groundbreaking ceremony that's going to bring 4,000 new jobs.
Well, I'm excited. The port in Little Rock is an amazing economic engine in central Arkansas. You know, Bob, people come to that port every day to work at one of those great businesses from 23 different counties in Arkansas. And that just shows you how far people will travel for a good, well-paying job. And the road we're building there, with great help from our county judge, Barry Hyde, and the congressional delegation, will open up for Amazon to have over 1,000 new jobs and recruit the business CZ USA, which is one of North America's best firearms manufacturers. So these are exciting new jobs that'll be located at the port in Little Rock and be part of that economic growth that we are all looking forward to in the months ahead.
When you also look at some of the things coming up in Congress, I know you guys passed the extension of the Payroll Protection Plan. Explain what that means when you say extension.
Well, this is really important. At the end of June, the Payroll Protection Plan, the PPP plan that allowed 40,000 Arkansas businesses to have access to cash during the last couple of months, terrible months at the beginning of the pandemic. It was going to expire on June 30th. And there were $134 billion in money in that account that had not yet been applied for by America's small businesses. So the House and Senate agreed to extend that application date to August 8th, allowing a lot of small businesses across America who still need financial help to apply for a PPP loan. I'd like to see that program extended a little longer, make sure it's flexible so that our businesses can take advantage of it.
Can businesses still apply for the payroll protection plan?
You bet, and that's what's good about this date of August 8th. Plus, I hope Congress will act to extend that even further, Bob. But yes, if people have any questions about it, they can check out my website at hill.house.gov, or they can go to sba.gov. But if you have a small business, you're a sole proprietor, and you'd like some extra cash to keep employees paid and keep rent paid, then I invite you to look at the Paycheck Protection Program.
One thing we just got to talk about, I know we've talked about almost every time we talk, is about protests. We're nowhere in the world I'm against protests. I think protest makes change. Peaceful protest means you don't damage people or property. But another protest that's coming up that's got a lot of people concerned in the 1st District, all of Arkansas, is monuments. What is the outlook for Congress on monuments right now?
Well, first, this lets us go back to the 4th of July and the protection of the promises made in our Declaration of Independence that then led to our Constitution. And we celebrate that on the 4th of July, that right to peaceable assembly, that right to petition the government, that right to free speech. And all those things are enshrined, beginning with that declaration and into our Constitution. So we ought to be saluting, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and proud we live in a country that celebrates those important freedoms enshrined in our republic. So I see a lot of hypocrisy here where people want the right to protest and go tear down public property, but they don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance or respect their country that gives them that right. My view is that everything should follow the law and that things should not be vandalized or destroyed. But if there's a marker in a city that citizens think should be in a different location, they ought to use a process and dialogue with their community, talk to their city council, not go out in the middle of the night and spray paint it or set it on fire or burn an American flag or pull it down. That just destroys the unity in our country and destroys, I think, their own argument when they break the law and when they act as a vandal or part of a mob instead of using words and using persuasion to their point of view.
And then the last topic is my favorite, though. This is the Golden Fleece Award. This is one that you keep people on their toes. And I guess when they hear your office getting some more data from some of these offices, they probably cringe and thinking, uh-oh, French Hill's after us, you know.
Absolutely. Well, every month I've been in office, I've tried to come up with a good golden fleece. There's usually no shortage of ideas. And during the pandemic, the State Department did some good work. One of the things that I've thanked Secretary Pompeo for is he got 60,000 Americans home from around the world caught with no airline travel due to the pandemic. And so I congratulate him for that. But he also saw the whole passport system at the Department of State shut down. 1.6 million passports in arrears. They didn't keep processing them. I have no idea why that's the case. We kept every other major operation in government open and functioning, even if it was remote. So the Department of State earned the Golden Fleece month of June because of the lack of processing passports and all the inconvenience they put Americans that were trying to update their document.
Now, what do we see coming up in Washington, D.C.? What do you see coming up in July?
Well, we're doing three big things in July that Americans should watch. We're working on the 2021 spending bills. That's the appropriations process. That's moving its way through the House. Secondly, we have the National Defense Authorization Bill. That's the strategy for our national defense that gets voted on once a year, typically a very bipartisan bill. I hope it will be this year. And thirdly, we are talking among our colleagues in both the House and Senate, what else do we need to do about the coronavirus and getting the economy back open safely? And so those three major legislative activities will be what we'll spend the next 3 weeks on before the 1st of August.
And what was your favorite food over the 4th of July weekend?
Boy, I went to a friend's house on Saturday night, and he smoked a rear end of a pig.
Wow.
And I tell you, it was some of the best barbecue I have ever had. He's an adopted Arkansan. He's a Texan, so he brought his secret sauce to the table, and it was a fantastic barbecue Saturday night. That was my highlight of the weekend.
Well, that's great when you hear Texans move to Arkansas and love and living here. See, that shows you that we
good,
have
isn't it? Yeah, we can teach them how to speak and everything. It's great.
It's absolutely. Congressman, thanks for taking time and talking with us here on Open Mic.
We'll see you, Bob. Thanks.